Chris Tatarian. You've had what I feel like is a pretty successful year. You've traveled a lot, you've competed and won some tournaments, but you found yourself late in the year in a situation where you were actually on the bubble, maybe not as maybe at high risk as some of these other players of not qualifying for Capcom Cup, but you were on the bubble, you needed a little help. So you had to watch from the sidelines Canada Cup. Tell me what it was kind of like, what you were going through, what you were thinking and feeling as you had to watch this tournament unfold.
Well, I mean, the odds were in my favor, definitely, but I wasn't able to sleep the night before top 8. I'm not joking. I had anxiety pretty much the entire time waiting for top 8 to start. Smash took forever. I just wanted it. At that point, there was a lot of situations where it did not go my way, even though I felt like I deserved to be at Capcom Cup after the amount of work that I put in. I just left it up to God at that point. Like, if I'm gonna get in, then I'm gonna get in. If I'm not, then all right, better luck next year.
So then NknuckleDu wins, and he was already qualified through points. With him winning, that actually bumped a slot down to you, which again, you were the next in line. The odds were, I think, pretty good that you would have made it in, regardless of the result of Canada Cup. But now that you're in, when you found out you were in and having had some time now, how do you feel after the fact?
I'm very happy. This is something that I wanted ever since I watched Capcom Cup the first year. I always doubted myself until I don't think I'll ever be able to compete at Capcom Cup. I don't think that I'm good enough. Just putting in that hard work and dedication to the game, it just worked out for me.
Yeah.
And it was actually even more awesome finding out that I played Momochi the first round.
I haven't looked at the seeding, but I would think that probably with where you're at, I don't think that's going to change, so you'll probably end up playing Momochi. You have time, of course, but going into that kind of matchup, like, what do you think about, how do you prepare for something like that?
Well, I know it's going to be one heck of a fight. I played him at SCR in the team tournament.
Okay.
It was a 2 out of 3, and it went down to last round.
Okay.
Playing against him for that short amount of time, I was able to understand that he approaches Ken kind of in a similar fashion that I do. He just perfects it a lot better. He executes it better than I do. If I'm able to just grasp that concept and find out the weaknesses that I feel like he might have and expose them, then it might be, then it'll be good for me. This is a matchup that I really like. I really like playing the Shoto matchup, especially Ken. I know everything that Ken wants to do. And he knows everything that I want to do.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be one of the most hyped matches at Capcom Cup. If I get blown up, I get blown up. If he gets blown up, he gets blown up. But I think that it'll be down the wire.
Looking back at 2016, what do you think is maybe your biggest takeaway from this year?
All in all, in 2016, I not only grew up as a player, but as a person as well. Every waking moment is a blessing, and I'm very thankful that I'm even alive at this moment. There was a lot of unfortunate situations, but nothing's really too unfortunate. Okay, I lost my sponsor, so what? There's a lot of worse things that happens on in the world, and at the very moment, I might feel a little upset about it.
Yeah.
But I got to step back and think about how blessed I really am and how blessed we all are to even be competing at an event like this, to even be a part of this, and to have the opportunity. So 2016, there might be little bumps on the road, but as long as I'm still walking, I'm happy.
Yeah. You just can't worry about the things that are not in your control, exactly. And that's kind of what I'm hearing here. But I think for guys like yourself, for you to be able to go into the game, those are the things that maybe for the most part you can control, and that's where you can kind of. I don't know. How do you feel? Is that something where you can go into a game and it's like, I don't know if escapism is really the right word, but lose yourself in that game?
We all take, the top players, we all take Street Fighter seriously. But there's a level of seriousness that you got to take it to. You can't, in my opinion, I think, devote life to Street Fighter. Street Fighter should be a social thing that you do with your friends, something that you love because you know that the people that you love also do it as well, and you guys have a great time doing it. Losing, obviously, yeah, it sucks, but I don't know, there's just that if you keep Street Fighter as a hobby, then you will always be happy. You know what I mean? If you devote your life to Street Fighter, I think there's just going to be a lot of times where you're just extremely going to be upset and whatnot. But you got to look at the big picture, and the big picture is the fact that you're all here together. You're alive. You're playing the game. You know, like you can still improve as a player as well. But improving as a player is a good thing, but you should also improve as a person alongside that. You know, you shouldn't only just devote, I'm going to become a better player and just basically talk crap on everybody and just be this person that nobody really likes, because then at that point, like, why are you even playing the game? Why are you even in this scene? You know, you need to, like, I'm here to make memories in my life. I'm here to meet people that I've never met before. I'm here to travel the world and accomplish dreams that I've dreamt about since I was a kid. Like, you know, because of Street Fighter, I was able to go to Japan, England, Mexico, Canada. Like, who can say that? Who can say that their hobby allowed them to just travel the world and experience new cultures, experience new people, eat different foods that, you know what I mean? Like, this is the best part about Street Fighter, is being the world warrior, but also having your real life in check as well.
We should obviously talk about, you have a new team. You signed with Denial Esports. I've worked with them a little bit, so they seem like a pretty good team. You know, the Evil Biz thing was unfortunate, but these are things that happen not just in the FGC, but in esports. Teams kind of come and go. Sometimes, you know, they think the money's there, and it's kind of the reality. But when Denial approached you and when you made your decision to go with them, what factored into that?
The guys that spoke to me from Denial, they were very respectful, very understanding about my situation. Everything that I kind of needed, they catered to, so I was very happy to see that. So, I mean, I just had a good vibe from talking to Ray, Robbie, the guys that spoke to me early on. I think his name was Matt. So once I got that good vibe from them, I was like, you know what, like, these guys are cool. Or I might as well just, we can make it work. We can make something good come out of this. So big thanks to them as well.
How fast did that go through? Because that announcement came shortly after the whole EVB thing, but how quickly did that transpire? Actually,
very, very quickly. They, after approaching me, I think it only took about like a couple of days for me to discuss it with my parents, with my friends, you know, just to have some time to think about it. But everything that they offered, everything that they were presenting was good enough, was really good, and I'm thankful for that. And that's why it didn't take long for me to sign with them.
So back to Japan and actually England. I believe I saw you talking on Twitter before you went to England that has always been one of your goals, was to go to England. I assume there's probably some ancestry, or was it just something that you wanted to do?
Well, ancestry, I'm Armenian, so one of my goals is to go to Armenia for sure. England was always because I'm a huge soccer fan, and I've always wanted to experience that England weather, you know, play
which is pretty similar to here right now.
Oh, right now, yeah, definitely. I love the gray skies and the cloudy weather. But yeah, England.
This is coming from a SoCal guy, by the way.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, just the vibes that were in England were just, it fit, you know, and I had a really, really good time out there. And I cannot thank I'm Still the Daddy enough for everything. He literally made our stay, mine and Brent's school, our stay so perfect. I had zero troubles while I was in England. I had zero worries while I was in England. He literally took care of everything from the minute that we touched down to the all the way to the end, to the end.
I assume you're probably like a lot of us Street Fighter and fighting game nerds in regards to Japan. Like, this is the one place that we've all wanted to go. So talk to me a little bit about that experience, what you got from that, both gameplay-wise and even sort of personally, like culturally.
First of all, I definitely want to thank MOV, everybody at the Heiwajima House, Eita, Kendevu, all those guys that just were so hospitable, let us stay, took care of us whenever we needed anything. So big thank you to them. We learned a lot, myself, Julio, and Brent, while playing in Japan. I personally learned that America is really not that far behind at all in Street Fighter V. I think that we're very, very close. Just minor things that we need to work on as just a country of just Street Fighter players, just the patience. But Japan was just everything that any Street Fighter player would wish that it would be. Alongside the playing, which actually we did play a lot, but we could have played so much more. But that's not the point as to going to Japan. Like, I experienced the culture that was so different than everything that I've been accustomed to in my entire life. Food that was completely different. Like, you're just walking around and you look at all these people and you're like, you're the foreign one. You know, like, I'm in a different land right now, and it was so surreal, so amazing. Getting adjusted to the time was a little hard at first, but it worked along really, really well. I just had an amazing time in Japan. I had such a great time that I told myself I will come back to Japan every single year. I will make that a goal in my life, that I will come back to Japan every single year, because it was just too good of a time for me not to come back. It was too amazing. Everything about it was just perfect.
Favorite part of the trip?
Can I say the women? No, I'm just kidding.
Why not?
Yeah, everything. The food was on point. The hospitality was on point. The games were on point. The venues that we went to were so sick. The people were so kind. The weather was so good too. It wasn't too hot, it wasn't too cold. Everything was just right. Like, I was meant to be there at that time. We were all meant to experience that trip, that experience. So everything was so good that I have to go back every year.
Last question for you. Obviously, Capcom Cup is still ahead. Well, this weekend you still have some work to do, but Capcom Cup is also still ahead. But maybe looking a little bit beyond that, what do you see is in Chris T's future going forward, maybe 2017 and beyond? Or what would you like to happen in 2017 and beyond?
What I would like to happen is obviously win a lot more tournaments, kind of prove myself as a player a lot more. But towards the next upcoming years is going to be very difficult, because I'm going to be graduating college soon. So there's going to be a lot more time than what I'm already putting into my education, towards my education. And Street Fighter might start to fall a little behind, but thankfully I have amazing players to train with and kind of keep me on par with how the system is working and how people are adapting and whatnot. I do expect big things from me. I will accomplish big things, and that's pretty much what I can say for 2017 and beyond.